Hello there, fellas and ladies. Welcome back to Goodfellas Garage. Today I have for your viewing pleasure an $800 British Turd. Let's get started. You might be wondering, and rightfully so, what are we doing with this 2000 Jaguar S Type? Well, let me explain. Goodfella Devin got happy with the bid now button at the auction, and this is the result. Today I'm going to show you why this sexy British beast with the smooth swooping lines of the retro 60s design is such a lucrative purchase today, but why you should avoid it. Now let's start with the exterior of this magnificent machine. And if you tell me that you don't like the styling of this car, there has to be something wrong with you. It is absolutely beautiful design by the Brits. What they were going after here is the Mark IIs of the 60s with the retro design. Now you have to keep in mind that this is the 2000s. Everybody, every car manufacturer and their grandmother were going after the retro styling. So this is the product of that era. Now, I typically stay away from British cars as a rule of thumb because their reputation for reliability is well documented, or lack thereof. Goodfella Devin was browsing the Mannheim dealer auction a few days ago, and he stumbled upon this car, and he got bid happy. So what you see here is an $800 2000 Jaguar S Type with 132,000 miles on it. Now, surprisingly, the paint on this car is all original. The only paintwork that I see is on the front passenger fender. Other than that, the paint has survived incredibly well, which leads me to believe that this car was garaged. And I have seen these cars before numerous times. I have driven the S Types before numerous times, and for the most part, the paint job on these cars is absolute garbage. Few years into the ownership, the clear coat starts peeling, and they all turn to crap. But for some reason, this car didn't do that. And again, I believe this is a product of the car being garaged. Now, the story is completely different on the inside. So let's check it out. While the exterior of this car has survived the Florida sun, the interior didn't do so well. Now, keep in mind that this car was built during Ford ownership of Jaguar. And there was a lot of platform sharing, there was a lot of button sharing, a lot of little plastic bit sharing, and it clearly shows inside of this interior. This car is built on what I call the Mountain Dew platform. It's the Ford's / Jaguar DEW 98. The same platform was shared with the Lincoln LS, remember those? And the last generation Ford Thunderbirds. Now, most of these cars were turds, and there's a reason why they don't exist anymore. So going back to the interior of the S Type, you can clearly see the Ford influence inside of this car. This is the first generation of the S Type, and a lot of bits are shared with Ford. They redesigned the interior a couple of years into the production model, and the newer interiors look a little bit better, but they're still cheap and plasticky and crappy. But this particular interior has a very funny feature. It's the center stack that literally looks like the Darth Vader helmet upside down. And if you look at the radio, it's Ford radio. It just says the word Jaguar on it, and it's just bullshit. It's a Ford radio. The climate control is a Ford climate control. They just put a different faceplate on it. I mean, there's a lot of buttons on the steering wheel from a Ford, the switches, etc. The only thing that they didn't really skimp on was the shifter. You have the classic, J Jaguar shifter, but other than that, a lot of the stuff here is from a Ford. The issue with this interior is that you can clearly see the cost cutting and the cheapness of the materials that they use. The typical Jaguar headliner that is sagging, the leather on all these Jaguars is starting to fade. Whatever material they use to dye the leather is starting to come off. All the plastics are brittle. I literally feel like I am sitting on a bag of potato chips. Everything that you touch is crispy, is brittle. The minute you touch it, it breaks off. I sat in this car the first time and I broke off a piece of plastic just by looking at it. So A lot of the bits and pieces are actually still here in the car. You can maybe put it together, but you know, the center console has started to disintegrate, and it's missing, you know, pretty much the entire back portion of it. The AC vents and such can be found in the trunk. There's some bits and pieces missing off a mirror. The most incredible part, however, which has me completely stumped, is that everything on the inside works. All the electronics actually function. The radio works, the climate control works, the air conditioning works, all the buttons on the steering wheel work. The telescopic steering column actually works. I mean, this is a miracle. I have never seen one of those in working condition. Everything works. The power seats work, the sunroof works, the windows work, the door locks work. It is absolutely amazing. I have only found one thing that does not work on this car, and it's the open button on the remote control. That's it. It's worn out, and it doesn't open the doors. But the lock button works, the trunk button works, the alarm button works. It is absolutely amazing. So how much did this car really cost us? Well, like I said, it's the final bid was $800, but it's not really $800 when it comes to auctions. It never really is. So there's an auction buyer fee, which is $180, and the buyer's fee depends on the price of the car. So now the car is $980, plus I had to spend $25 wire fee to Mannheim, so we're $1,005 into this vehicle. So what's the point of this video? Well, the point of this video is that you really shouldn't buy cars sight unseen, no matter how cheap they are. And the problem now with auctions and with everything that's going on, you know, in the world at COVID-19 and everybody's freaking out, the auction is actually physically closed. You can't go and bid on cars. The only way you can bid on cars is online, and they show you pictures. And this is where reputable sellers come into play. You don't want to buy cars from someone like this, that the person that we bought this car from is not a reputable seller, because they didn't disclose any of the problems with the car. So they just said, oh, it's as is, whatever. They showed you like 2-3 pictures of the car and it looks good, but you don't know what you're buying. So you have to be very, very careful when buying cars like this. And you know, I understand $800 is not that much. I mean, the risk is very low. I mean, the worst that could happen with this car, we'll have some fun with it. We'll do a couple of burnouts and crash it into a wall. But surprisingly, it runs and drives. I mean, yes, it has some issues with the interior. You know, air conditioning is ice cold, and like I said, everything works, which is absolutely amazing. And I drove this car from Palm Beach auction all the way to my house, which is about 50 miles, without breaking down, which is, you know, absolutely incredible. Let me know in the comments below what you think we should do with this car. Should we crash it? Should we burn it? Should we do burnouts? Should we blow the engine up? Or should we sell it to somebody? Maybe somebody could use good, cheap transportation. Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.